Have you ever wanted to be very philanthropic, like give away a lot of money, all the while building a very successful real estate business? If you've ever aspired to do that, today is your day. I have the foremost expert in the country, potentially in the world, on this topic. I believe that to be true. Before I go there, let me just do a quick intro, and I'm going to come back and I'm going to introduce this beautiful lady who has mastered something that you are going to want to hear more about. Welcome back to the Think Bigger Real Estate Show. I'm your host, Justin Stoddart. Thrilled to be with you here today and have a very special guest, Ginger Walker, out of the Northern Virginia market from the Give Back team. Ginger, thank you so much for coming and joining us on the show today.
Thank you. I'm super excited to be here. I am so excited to be here. Thank you so much.
So for those that don't know, Ginger and I are in a very high-level mastermind. The individual who leads the mastermind is quite the impressive individual, and we all get the good fortune of learning from him and learning from each other. And I've been deeply impressed by the little pieces that Ginger has brought to the table and shared with all of us. And I just knew at some point I had to highlight her on this because I work very closely with agents, helping them to build a relationship-based business, yet one that scales, right? Oftentimes people will see, okay, I have goals here and my warm referrals shut off here. So what do? Do I fill that gap with cold market stuff? Most of them don't want to do that, nor do they want to lower their goals. Again, I teach agents specifically how to scale a referral business. And what you teach, Ginger, is all about relationships. It's all about really contributing to people in big ways. So I'm thrilled to get into this, how you've so perfectly welded together your philanthropic desires and passions with real estate and selling a lot of it. So tell us a little bit about how long you've been in the business and maybe how you kind of went down this path.
So I started in real estate in 2008. And if you know anything about what the market was like then, it was definitely interesting, but it was a great time for me to learn. And that's really what ended up, happening that first couple of years. I've always believed in giving back, and that stems really honestly from my mom. So it was something that was ingrained in me in everything that I did. It didn't matter what job, what profession that I did it in. So when I started in real estate, I started out as a solo agent. I had a friend who actually had started a charity in Fredericksburg, Virginia called the Fairy Godmother Project. It supported local families with pediatric cancer. Really small, just kind of a very homegrown kind of charity. It started from a need and it grew into something quite massive today. But at that time, she had said, I asked her, how could I help? That's just kind of how I come from that mindset. How can I help you? How can I help the community? And so she said, we're going to try and do a little fundraiser. Could you put a basket together? And I started just helping. It led to me being on their board of directors and being forward facing with some of the activities I was doing to support this one particular charity. And the funny thing was, someone actually gave me the nickname, the Give Back Girl. And it just stuck. It wasn't a marketing thing. It wasn't, somebody just started calling me that. And I became known as Ginger, the Give Back Girl. And so at some point when I got to the level in my business where I didn't want to stop, I did want to scale. I wanted to make more of an impact in the community and help more clients. And I wanted to continue the ripple effect. And so I started the team, and the natural name for the team was, I dropped the girl, I added the team, and here we are. So that's basically kind of in a nutshell, from start to where I am right now, very quickly, how things progressed. And the giving back was always something that I did. I didn't talk about it, which was a struggle for me to have a team where I now do talk about it, but the impact of what it's doing is so amazing that I want to talk about it even more. Sometimes I talk about houses, sometimes I talk about charities, sometimes I talk about, what's going on in my family life and all that stuff. But ultimately everything, the common thread that's sewn through is all three. And that's really what's exponentially taken our business to the next level also, which is pretty awesome.
Now your team has given away, if I've got the number right, $150,000 to charities. Like, this isn't some small little contribution. Like, you guys have really figured out a way to do this at scale, and you're just getting started, right? I mean, this is so fun to hear.
Yeah.
And I hope that this becomes a template for agents all around the country that say, there's a lot of nonprofits and charitable organizations out there that I love. And how cool would it be to have it when people do business with me, I also get the opportunity to contribute to these charities, right? It draws in more business in a very natural, heart-filled way.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. And those are the people that I want to work with too. It's one of those things where the people on my team, we all come from a giving heart. And I think that that's the important factor in the denomination, the common denominator within everyone within the group that works with us. And it's not just the teammates, but it's also the clients. So the way that I look at it is everyone has a something. That's what I always say. There's a something that impacted your life, right? It could be, you ran a race and you were impacted by, the team that ran for a charitable organization, or a family member had a disease, or you adopted a pet from a certain shelter. When you think about it, everyone sort of has that one or two or five heartstrings that leads you to something where they feel compassion and want to give back. And so that's kind of where I guess the glue that binds us all together as humans is that compassion and wanting to help and support each other. So for us, it's kind of cool. We started off, as far as the amount of money. When I first started by myself, I had no idea what I was doing. I decided that I was going to give 10% back of what I earned to the charity of the client's choice. I didn't know what that looked like. And then it was, well, is it, the total amount I earned or after taxes, or it got too in the weeds for me. And the thing that I didn't like was that, and I realized, was that someone who purchased a home that was $300,000, the commission was X. But if someone purchased a $3 million house, that commission was X times something, right? And in my mind, no charity is less deserving of another. And so when we started the team, we actually formalized it to a flat amount for every charity to receive the same thing. So it didn't matter what the commission was.
Yeah.
Every charity was equally as important, which is kind of cool.
A couple stories that come to mind as you're sharing this. I actually had a conversation with somebody today who was looking to me for some mentorship. They said, Justin, I've got 2 career opportunities in front of me. One of them, I don't love that much. I don't love the day-to-day work, but they just offered me like a $35,000 bonus to stay. And this other one has potential to probably do that without, too much work. I mean, it's not right in my lap today, but I actually like the work. And I said, look, at the end of the day, the only thing that's going to work for you long-term is something that you're willing to do consistently. Consistently is the X factor. If you're willing to do something consistently. And I said, if you don't love it, you don't love the people that you're around, ultimately at some point you're going to wear out and you're going to do something else and you're not going to get the results that you hope. So choose the thing that you love, being around the people that you love. And what I just heard you say, Ginger, is absolutely brilliant, is that this attracts to you people who have a heart for charitable organizations, for giving. Like, you naturally get to show up every day, and many, if not all, the people that you work with are there because of who you are, because they're like you. Like, so to anybody listening to this, whether this is your thing or not, be the truest version of yourself through your branding and your marketing, and allow that, and know that as you put that out there, you're going to attract people just like you. So if you don't like the people that you're attracting, you might go back and look at your marketing, your messaging. You might be like, oh, okay, that's why these people are showing up, right? I'm the discount broker. I'm the whatever. So I'm like, why is everyone trying get my fees done all the time? Well, what are you putting out there that is attracting those people to you, right? Naturally, you're attracting people who want to give, who want a portion of their real estate sale to go towards something that they care about. It's absolutely brilliant, and what a great lesson for all of us. So thank you for being that and kind of showing that lesson in real life.
Well, and it's, for us, it's always a work in progress. We're trying to figure out, and I love the words, the ripple effect, because that's really what we want to do. We want to throw a stone in a giant ocean and cause the wave to only get bigger as it hits closer to the shore. And so what I mean by that is, if we've given money back to, I don't know, the Stafford County Animal Shelter, which is near and dear to my heart, and I adopt fur babies every time I walk in there, but we do the clear the shelters for them. We sponsor the entire thing. We buy everyone the shirts. We're there to help. We pay for all the adoptions. We actually adopt a cat room for the entire year anyway. We pay for everything there. And that's just one of the things that we do. But that has nothing to do with the, donation with regards to a closing, right? That's just being in the community and doing something good. And it's interesting because doing things like that, where I would want to do that anyway. I love playing with dogs and cats, and I have a bunch at my house along with some kids. And we actually did it, the kids and I did it as a family along with the team. And when you're in the public that way, people are naturally attracted to want to work with you because you're in the public. They're seeing you and they're seeing something, a side of you that's not necessarily like the suit and the tie and the business, but they're actually seeing the compassion, which is a pretty cool thing also. So it doesn't always have to be monetarily based. It can be, volunteering your time. It could be taking up a collection. I mean, we do that too. We help with the local schools. They have the back to school backpack drive where you're filling the backpacks for, the kids that don't have the ability to pay for the supplies, or the schools that don't have the ability to, stock everything that they need. There's all different types of things that you can do. And I think for me, by doing things like this and talking about it, the key for me is it doesn't have to be monetary. It could be your time, or it could be even spreading the word about it, a local organization. And that causes the ripple effect to even get bigger and involve the community. And they're seeing you being involved too. And I think that that's the key.
So I love that. Again, you're opening our eyes to a new form of giving, that it's not always stroking a check, right? Sometimes the platform that you've built, right, which is your audience, the people that receive your correspondence, that see you on social media, by giving of that platform towards a good cause, you're bringing attention to it, which has value, right? I love that. It's a great point. All of this, Ginger, reminds me of a story I heard just last week that was very impactful to me. There's a gentleman by the name of Jon Huntsman. He's a billionaire. I don't think he's since passed, but very famous man out of Utah. He when he and his wife were newly married, they were not billionaires. They were very poor, like most of us when we start off and kind of do married life. And they'd given themselves each a budget of $50 per month as their own personal spending money. And his wife would spend it on like whatever. And going back, she was like, I don't really know what Jon was spending his $50 on. Like, he never really showed anything. And one day during like a church service, a lady stood up and she said, I want to thank whoever it is that has been giving me $50 a month for the past 2 years anonymously. I want to thank that person. I don't know who you are, but I want you to know that it means a lot. And she looked over at her husband, and he didn't even look at her. He just had his eyes fixed straight forward. And she said, long before he was wealthy, he was a philanthropist. Yeah, I think maybe there's something to that, right? That if you believe in a higher power, maybe that higher power sees those that are philanthropic before and says, let's give them a lot more because they're going to do a lot of good with that, right? There may be something to that. But I love the fact that before you had this big successful team, you had a heart for being philanthropic. And I think there's people in the audience right now that have thought like, I'd really just love to like give money away. Like, I'd really love to be that person. And again, going back to this lesson of you've really figured out how to make a very successful, profitable business while at the same time having this powerful outreach, right? Whether it be in money, whether it be in just time, whether it be in just attention on a cause, it's absolutely beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. I commend you for it.
Thank you. I mean, it's you know what, it's one of those things where if you don't, like to your point before, if you don't love what you do, the money's great, but you have to like what you're doing too. And so for me, being able to do this is it's always been ingrained in me. My mom, as a kid, we would at Christmas, and I do this with my kids too, at Christmas time, we would take toys that were in really good shape, and we were donating them to another child because we were done with them and we needed to make room for the next toy. And so every year, I mean, my kids now, if they knew I was talking about this, they'd kill me, but they're 18 and 16. And yes, Santa still comes, but they do the same thing even to this day. If it's, they give 3 things, and I hope that they bring that to their children and their families as they, get older and move on with their lives. But so that was something that just came from my mom. And So the pivot in my business, which was kind of interesting because my background's actually pharmaceuticals. I did pharmaceutical sales for a very long time, climbed a corporate ladder, and ended up running an entire region of sales professionals. So sales and marketing was always ingrained in me from that perspective of a professional person, but the giving was always the personal thing. And I wanted to be able to do something with my life that I could put both of them together, the professional thing that I really enjoyed doing and the personal thing that that my mom really made me who I am from that perspective. So when I started in real estate, it was not by design. None of this was by design. It was all by accident. And so, I would say you can live your life by design and make your business by design and maybe learn a little bit of how I did it without making the stumbling blocks that I did. But I think the key thing is that if you want to find a way to give, there's definitely something that you can do. And if you don't know where to start with your community and ask who needs help, because that's really the first place that you're going to make the biggest impact is if the community is actually asking and they have a need and you can help fill it.
Yeah, there's the cool thing about a real estate agent's business is it's oftentimes very geographically located, right? Very geographic center. And so you have the ability using the model that you've described of being able to contribute in a very local way and not have it be a detour from your business, right? It's very much aligned with your business. Like it's a really, really cool thing.
So I can give you an example too. I'm on the radio for a local radio station, and they do a big fundraiser for Children's National Hospital up in DC. And then there's also a satellite in Fredericksburg. And so, it was something that I didn't even think about, but they were getting ready for the drive, for the biggest drive that they have in the year. And I was sitting down with some of the radio station people, and they were saying, okay, well, this is what we're going to do. And I was looking at the website of the hospital, and they had a collection list. Dr. Bear's Closet is what it's called. And it's for the kids, when they go in there and they're not expected to be in there, or they're there for a birthday or a holiday or something. And it's a toy or it's a something. And so I said, does anyone collect for this? And they said, no, they'd never had a drive before. Well, now they do. and that's the cool thing. It started off as something very small. We announced it when I was on the radio. I said, listen, I need help. I'm going to put a box at my office, my real estate office. And I would love to be able to put 5 more boxes somewhere out in the community. Well, that 5 boxes turned into 10. All the local bus drivers got involved, and it just kind of blew up. And it came to the fact of where I thought maybe we would be driving, maybe a trunk full of toys and stuff to the hospital, to 2 vans worth of stuff going to the hospital, and it just kept coming in. And that's the community. So you can be the catalyst even, in your own community where you see a need, and then you draw the attention and to the need, and then you're the one that helps facilitate everyone being a part of it, which is kind of a really cool thing to be able to do as well. So cool. Yeah, so there's so many ways that you can get involved in giving back. So for, like I mentioned before, for us, we do a flat amount of money per transaction. And in addition to that, because Children's National is something that's near and dear to us, we do donate an additional $25 per transaction to Children's National. With every deal we do, it goes to them as well. So there's actually 2 charities that win, which is kind of a pretty amazing thing. So there's so many things you can do, though. There's just so many things.
Well, how many people come to you? How many new clients do you think you get a year from this strategy, right? Not that that's why you do it, but we like taking a business case for it. I would have to think that there's people who do business with you that would not have known about you, right? Mm-hmm. Or that would not be doing business with you, but the fact that they can contribute part of the proceeds to a charity of their choice. Is there any numbers on that would really quantify this for people?
So I can give you perspective on last year. So we did over 100. There was over 100 transactions that were done, and I can actually thread back 22 of them to charitable organizations that we've worked with. But with that, there came referrals. So it's one of those things where the charity might have referred someone to us because they're moving into the area, and they're hoping that maybe we would give the donation back to them. But there's been many cases, because I've been doing this for a while, where and I do track all this, where it starts with one person, the recommendation to come to us as a result of our partnership or our charitable work with another organization. But then they come and they live here, and then they recommend us. So obviously we had to have done a good job for someone to recommend us. It's not all about just the money, but so I can actually see, and I kind of trace it, which is kind of cool, where it started and then how it's spread out. So, but that's just for last year. I mean, that's how many people have come as a result of just working with charitable organizations, which is pretty cool. And then when they're here, we learn more about certain charities too. So the script is a little bit flipped in some of these cases, where there's charities in my own backyard that I knew nothing about. And I've lived here since 2001. So there's one that was 3 miles down the road from my house, and I never heard of the charity before. Why? Because it wasn't in the lane of my life, right? It didn't directly impact me, but that didn't mean it didn't impact the community. And so even from that perspective, I'm learning about charities that are in my own backyard, and they're coming to me because they hear that we're, good with our what we do as far as a business, but that we're going to also directly impact a charity that we don't even know anything about, which is kind of pretty cool. So I know I launched something new we talked about in our mastermind, which is a bigger project that we're working on right now. And my goal, our team's goal, is to impact at least 36 local charities just within the Stafford, Fredericksburg, Northern Virginia bubble. And part of the components of that is it has nothing to do with sales, but it has everything to do with highlighting the charities that maybe I don't know about still, but the community is actually nominating them. And every month there are 3 charities up for voting. And so the community is voting for the charity of their choice. When we highlight 3, we blog about them. So, everyone learns about charities that they might not necessarily know anything about. We promote them on social media. And then the give back team, for whoever wins for each month, is making a charitable contribution to that charity. But the cool thing is, at the end, everyone's going to win, because in November, I'm going to announce something that's going to impact the other 24 charities that didn't necessarily get the number 1 spot for the month. So it's one of those things where we're just trying to produce, more knowledge and awareness. But with that, I'm sure we'll get more clients and customers, because they're also hearing us and seeing us, and we're out there promoting these other organizations. So it's not for the business, it helps the business. And that's how I look at it, because I'm very sensitive to the fact that it's kind of a hard thing when you're being charitable, that you don't want to be like, it's all about me. It's not. It's all about them. And that's the key thing. If you put the spotlight on the right, look through the right lens and shine the light in the right direction, the business will come. So those 20 plus people from last year, I mean, I'm hoping that it's 40 plus people this year, because our goals are much bigger. We want to donate more money back, and we want to impact more charities and help more clients move into our area or leave if they have to move. So I just think that there's a huge opportunity for a lot of different things that people can do, but it's definitely impacted our business. There's no doubt about it.
So Jerry, I think that there are agents out there who would love to do this, but there's a little bit of a scarcity mentality that plagues everybody, right? Of like, I don't know if I can commit to that, because I tend to need every dollar I make, right? So hopefully what you just shared right there helps people to have a little bit more of an abundant mentality. And it takes me back to a lesson I learned from my mom. She said, the tighter you hold on to money, the harder, your hand is closed to getting any more of it. But the second that you start to open up your hand and be liberal in giving away of things, your hand is open, ready to receive more. She said, there's plenty of money out there in the world. We just have to go make more. That was always her feedback was, it's just money. There's plenty of money out there. We'll just go make more. And it was this refreshing, load off of our family shoulders all the time of when something in business didn't go right and it was costly. She was like, you know what? It's okay. We'll just go make more. And
right.
She had that mentality of there is an abundance out there if you can open your eyes and your hands to see it. And I love how you're really demonstrating what that looks like in real life. A couple more questions.
I like your mom's mentality too, though. I like that. That's a great story.
Thank you. Yeah, she's a phenomenal lady for sure. Let me ask you this: are there any challenges? Somebody that said, "Boy, I love this. This is me. This is totally speaking to me. I want to do something like this." And you know that there's maybe a pitfall that you had to work around or a challenge. Is there like anything that you can kind of point out to say like, okay, be careful of this because this could kind of trip you up or deter you when I don't want you to be deterred, right?
So I would suggest that you really come with intentionality about how you're going to promote it.
Okay.
And like I said before, the key thing is you don't want to come from a perspective of trying to get business as a result of it.
Yeah.
You want to come from a business of abundance, like you said before. And I think that that's the key thing. There's a lot of things that we do that we don't talk about. We don't promote on social media. And that's okay. We still do it in the community and we're making the impact. And the people who are seeing us are the ones that are talking about us. So I would say that would probably be one of the things that I'd be, just watch how you're putting it into the community, because you want to make sure that it's received the right way.
Yeah.
And that's something that I always struggle with, because I don't want people to think one thing when the intention is the other. So I would just be cautious of that. And then actually really look at, to your point, if you don't have the money, right, and you are kind of holding it like this, look at the different business models. Because the way that I structured everything was probably not the best way in the beginning when, like I said before, I was giving a percentage and, that meant that this one did better than that one. But maybe just really kind of map it out and be specific in what you think you really could afford to give away. And then you can build that. So if it's, $50 per transaction, I'm just throwing a number out, and it's going to go to one specific charity. Do you personally want to impact one charity, or do you want to personally impact multiple charities, or with your client, multiple charities? So I would say just find the way that you're going to be consistent and how you feel that you can make the biggest impact. And if you're concerned about the money part, start small, because you know what, $5 to someone is a big deal. $5 is a big deal. Small charities, $5 is a big deal. $50 could be, what changes how many meals a kid could have at lunch that doesn't have lunch. $500 could do, so you don't have to do thousands of dollars. You don't have to make that big of a commitment, but start somewhere. And I would say that could be the thing that maybe sets people back too, is that they overcommit something and then they can't complete it. And with the charitable part, if it is financial, just really look at what you think that you comfortably can work with. But I, like you said, I come from abundance. So if you tell me I could, to give 50, I'll give 100. That's just the way that I'm kind of built. But I would say that could be a tripping point, that you make sure that you understand that you're coming from the perspective of marketing something. It's not about you. It's always about the charity. And then the financial component, if you go that direction, just kind of come up with a plan and try and be consistent. And then you can always increase whatever that is. So if it's a percentage or a flat amount per transaction or whatever the structure is, those would probably be the two things I would say that you could get tripped up on.
I love it. So good. Couple more questions. I hope you're okay with time, because I'm loving this. Let's fast forward 5 years from now, and you are thrilled about what the Give Back team has been able to do and the ripple effect of your ripple effects, if you will. Dream with me a little bit. Like, what would you like to have this do? If you could say, look back and say, this is a legacy I want to leave upon our industry or business in general. Any thoughts and ideas about kind of big picture, what you'd hope this does, even beyond the massive impact you're already having?
I would love someone else to take this, and I'd love Give Back team to be in other places. Like, that's really what I would like to be able to do. And if I can inspire someone to do that, that's really that's the goal. I mean, that's the goal, because you don't realize what you're able to do and the impact that you can have until you open your eyes and really look. And for me, in 5 years, I mean, I still want to be in real estate. I love what I do. I do it because I love it. And I have a lot of fun with the people that I work with. I'm very lucky that way. And I would love in 5 years just for this to be a bigger impact. I mean, not necessarily that I've grown a mega team. I like my family feeling team. So I don't necessarily want to be, a 50 agent team, but I would love for more than 50 agents to be part of the give back world, and in different areas, because I think that it could cause such a great thing that people don't necessarily always consider. And, real estate's one of those things that people don't necessarily look at us as, they look more transactional, not necessarily always part of the community. And I think that this is a great way to.
I commend you so much. Final question is this. Every big thinker that steps foot on this stage gets the opportunity to answer this question. And it's this, that you are a big thinker. You're somebody who's making an impact. What does Ginger Walker do to continue to be a big thinker, to continue to expand your possibilities? What does that look like?
So my world, there is no box. Everyone says, think out of the box. My world, there has never been a box. So what I do to think bigger is I look above at people that I want to be like, and I work with them. So that's how you and I met. To think bigger, I have to work with people who think bigger than I am, who have that mindset of abundance and that can teach me and I can learn from in other directions to which I've never thought to explore. And so that's the key for me. I mean, you and I met because of one of the big thinkers in my world, and I have three. I have three mentors for three different avenues of my business and my branding and things like that. And so that is the key, is to working with people who are bigger thinkers than I am, because I've learned so much from them and I continue to, and people like you too.
I love it. So good, Ginger. Thank you so much for all you've contributed. I'm a big fan, even a bigger fan now than I was before, as I learn more about what you've done, and your 5-year vision is absolutely beautiful. So thank you again for that. And I want to thank those that are listening live, as well as those that will be listening after the fact. Be sure to look Ginger up. If you're looking for somebody to refer business to in Northern Virginia, Ginger, what's the best way for them to get a hold of you for that and or anything else that you have that would be valuable for these people?
So you can go to givebackteam.com. That's our website. And you can send me a message there, or you can find me on Instagram, and I'm even on TikTok as The Real Ginger Walker. So you can send me a message there as well.
I love it. Look this wonderful lady up. Take inspiration from the road that she's paving for everybody. And if you have Northern Virginia real estate, I recommend you reach out to this person who the proceeds will go not only to taking care of clients well, but also taking care of the community. It's great stuff, Ginger.
Thank you.
And my final request of everybody listening here today are these 3 simple words, and they are: go think bigger. Ginger, thank you for helping us do that today, my friend.
Thank you.